Hey there, Sam Bisnick here, Release Muscle Therapy, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to use these chrome type tools here for working on plantar fasciitis and associated muscles. Now these tools, commonly referred to as IASTM, that's Instrument Assisted Soft Tissue Mobilization or Manipulation, they're also referred to as Graston style tools, which is the name of a system that uses these sorts of things. But these types of tools now are very, very popular. You see them everywhere. There are literally dozens and dozens of different brands that sell them. So they're out there and there's a lot of options. They used to be very expensive. Now you can get these tools for quite cheap. And basically when you're using them for this kind of application, virtually any of them will get the job done. One of my favorites, just because it's an easy one, I've had it for a long time in my office, is called the Myobar. That's the one I have here. It kind of looks like a really thick looking butter knife. I like it. This edge right here is not sharp at all. Okay, it's very rounded, so if you're looking at that, it looks sharp. It is completely dull. It also has a little notch right here for the thumb, which makes it kind of easy to support and hold while you're working on tissues, and that's why it's kind of become a favorite of mine. It's just really easy to kind of move and manipulate. But there are other styles of tools out there as well. This one is called the T-bar. It's more of a professional version where you can hold it with your handle like that, by the handle, and it has a bunch of different types of edges on it. It's kind of easy to hold for a long period of time. So there's a lot of varieties. What you just need to do is pick the one that looks most comfortable for you. Of course, I'll include a link here because people are going to ask me, where do you get this one? But it's just one that I like. Now the next thing you're going to need when you apply this is some kind of lubricant. Now a lot of these companies will sell this kind of really expensive lubricant, and really what it is kind of like Vaseline. You could even use Vaseline probably if you want to. I don't. I use this makeup remover essentially called Albolene. It's pretty cheap and it works really well for this kind of application. We always use an appropriate lubricant with this. You see videos out there where people just look like their skin has just been decimated by these tools. That is not an effective technique. I don't know where people thought that this was a good idea, but if anything, it could potentially cause dermatological damage. So I would not do that. If you're seeing redness, what looks like broken blood vessels and so forth in your skin, then you're doing this wrong. So I want to throw that out there. So we use a lubricant on this just enough to kind of like put it onto the tissue so we have a nice glide and it's not yanking on the skin at all. Now when you do this somewhere like on the bottom of the foot, which is very obvious that we would work that with dealing with plantar fasciitis, we have to have a few guidelines. Now, namely because this type of therapy is really massage therapy. It's instrument-assisted massage therapy, but we still need to follow some basic practices when it comes to massage work when dealing with these types of issues. Number one, the pet peeve I have is the level of aggressiveness that people tend to have with soft tissue therapies. I've said it time and time again, most therapists have a mentality that they're breaking up scar tissue and adhesions, which almost always makes the therapist think that they need to push hard in order to get the therapeutic result. This is not true at all. Okay, so there's very little research to support that concept, and I'd say it's possibly no research to support that scar tissue and adhesions are being broken down, and we don't need to push very hard as a result of that lack of knowledge. So we need to actually push just hard enough to get a therapeutic result. So on a 1 to 10 scale, 10 being the hardest you can push and putting yourself in a lot of pain, 1 being you can barely feel it, we really want to do an application like this with maybe a max to a 3 to 4. Okay, so that's not very much. It should be very comfortable. Okay, now the next thing is what areas we tend to focus on. With plantar fasciitis, which is a very complex condition, there's a lot of areas that are involved in plantar fasciitis besides just the foot itself. Most commonly, the most tender pain point is right here toward the heel. Some people have it more toward the big toe on the bottom of the foot. So, but wherever that primary pain point is, I want you to resist the urge to pushing hard on that one area, okay? Because that's the area where likely the plantar fascia is potentially damaged, and we don't want to be scraping really hard into that tissue with this tool. That's not going to help at all. It's definitely not going to heal it or expedite the process for making you better. So what we do is we work around that area. There are specific pressure points that you can gently push on primary pain areas. I do cover this in another video, but when we're doing general massage work, we do not need to emphasize, or I should say overemphasize, that one area. So very, very important. So when you're applying this tool, you're going to see how gentle this is. Usually when I do this, it's not done for a set number of repetitions. On average, I might take 3 to 5 minutes to cover an area, or a lot of times it's until my hand gets tired and then I'm done with that area. Okay, so hand fatigue management is a big factor here. When you're using your tool, don't grip it as hard as you can. You're going to get tired. So don't try to move too fast. Just move at a comfortable pace that you'll be able to accomplish roughly 3 to 5 minutes in an area, and then you'll be able to get the job done. So let's say that my pain point is down here toward the heel. So I'm going to be working more away from that pain point area, not pushing there, focusing on the areas surrounding it. So in this case, I'm going to start down by the big toe. I'm just going to gently push into the tissue and then just perform a light scrubbing activity. Now that scrubbing activity is not just across, just gliding over the lubricant. It's kind of like a downward scrubbing activity, because we have to think about massage as, for the most part, being a stretching technique, is the way I like to think about it. So I'm gently stretching into the tissues, giving them a kind of novel source of stimulation. So I'm going to continue working that kind of in chunks, maybe two inches at a time, because there's not a lot of surface area to the foot. And I'm going to just keep working my way around, working toward the pain point, but not digging into the pain point. So I'll work my way around the foot. I'll keep going, looking for areas that seem a little more sensitive, and that could mean ticklishness. It could also mean some discomfort, and I'll just kind of pay attention to what happens to those as I continue working this. And as you see this kind of application, it looks simple. That's because it is. It doesn't have to be super complicated when you're doing this technique. So I'll keep working my way around. And another little bonus tip that I like to add, and this may not be done in the first couple of times you do this, but you might work into it, is a gentle stretch of the fascia on the bottom of the foot as you're applying this. The easiest way to do that is to take the toes, in particular the big toe, but to pull it back up toward the ankle. So what you'll notice is that when you do that, you'll see the plantar fascia start to pull tension, and you'll see that little strand of fibers rising up. Now, don't be tempted to dig into that thing. We're just gliding gently over the top of it, okay? So the maximum intensity, and I'd probably say right now I'm probably at 2 more than I am anything else, is going to be maybe a 3. Okay, but if you have really, really sensitive feet, even light pressure might take that up to a 4. Okay, so we work through that area, and that'll give us a nice IASTM therapy effect for the plantar fascia. We can, of course, work in the opposite direction if you'd like. Okay, and some therapeutic systems, when using these tools, like to go in every direction, like to go this way, and then left and right. Okay, so, but I don't find digging back and forth over fibers to be that comfortable, so I like to keep it just those 2 different directions. It seems to get the job done quite well. So that is a great self-massage technique using IASTM style tools for dealing with plantar fasciitis.